Imagine you've implemented the functionality to send messages in your application. If you ever want to change how messages are sent, you can just update the code, right? But what if you've used that functionality in 10 different controllers? Now you have to update it in 10 different places and you'll probably lose your mind while you're at it. That's where dependency injection comes in. Dependency injection helps us write cleaner, more maintainable and reusable code while also making our app easier to test and scale. In this video, I'll explain what dependency injection is, how to use it, and the key things you need to know to use it the right way. Welcome to Code the Future, my name is Island and my goal here is to help you learn C# and .NET on your own. Now let's get started. In simple words, dependency injection is a design pattern that allows a class to receive its dependencies from an external source rather than creating them internally. To better understand dependency injection, let's start by understanding the word dependency. Dependencies are objects that other objects rely on to function properly. In ASP.NET Core, dependencies are typically implemented as C# classes and interfaces. In some contexts, dependencies are also referred to as services because they are stored and managed within what is known as the service container. The service container is set up in the program.cs file before the application is built. It is a built-in system in ASP.NET Core that manages dependencies for our application. It automatically creates and provides instances of services whenever they are needed throughout the app. As for the word injection, it refers to the process of resolving and providing a required dependency from the service container. Now let's see an example in action of how we can create a service, register it, and inject it into our app. I have created an ASP.NET Core MVC project, and in the root directory I have just created a services folder. Inside this folder I have a greetings interface and a class called greetings service, which implements this interface. The greetings service class simply implements a method from the interface that returns a basic string. As we mentioned before, dependencies in ASP.NET Core are typically implemented using C# classes and interfaces. Whenever you need functionality that will be used in multiple parts of your application, whether it's sending messages, retrieving data from the database, or performing other tasks, you should store it inside this services folder. You also need to create an interface for it and a class that implements this interface. Once we've created our service, we need to register it in the program.cs file. In this service container, before building our app, we call builder.services and specify the lifetime of our service. Now there are three types of service lifetimes. Singleton, where a single instance of the service is created and shared for the entire application lifetime. Then there is scoped, where a new instance of the service is created for each HTTP request. And transient, where a new instance is created every time this service is requested, even within the same HTTP request. The service lifetime you choose depends on your application's requirements, but in most cases, scoped is the preferred option, ensuring that an instance is created for each HTTP request. After specifying the service lifetime, we need to specify the interface associated with our service and the class that implements it. We might have different classes implementing our interface, but in our case, we only have the greeting service class. Now that we've created and registered our service, we need to inject it into our project, or in simple terms, use it somewhere in our application. Do you want to take the next step as a developer and improve your all-around skills but don't know where to focus? Well, I have a course designed specifically for this purpose called ASP.NET Core MVC Blueprint. It provides guidance every step of the way to help you build a web application that solves a real-world problem. You'll start by learning the core MVC fundamentals and beginner concepts and progress to advanced topics like database integration, authentication, services, and deployment. As an added bonus, if you enroll now, you'll get my C# ebook for free. You don't have to buy anything, but if you think it could help you, you can at least learn more by clicking the link in the description below or visiting payhip.com/codethefuture. If you decide to enroll now, you'll get the limited time price and bonus. Let's go to the home controller. The most common way to inject services is constructor injection. This means that whenever a controller object is created, its constructor will request the service from the dependency injection container or from the service container in the program.cs file, making it available for use in the methods of that controller. First, I'll define a private, read-only, iGreetings service variable named _service. Then I'll add the interface as a constructor parameter, giving it a name. As mentioned earlier, every time the home controller object is created, a request is made to retrieve the service instance from the dependency injection container, and the instance is assigned to the underlying service variable, which we can use inside our methods. Now let's create a welcome method that returns an iAction result. Inside this method, I'll define a variable to store the value returned by the service. I'll call underline service.greet and pass a string such as developer. Finally, I'll return a content result containing this message. So instead of returning a view, we're returning plain text. Let's run the application and test it by navigating to the /home/welcome route. As you can see, our service is working correctly. As I mentioned earlier, constructor injection is the most common way to inject services in your project. You can also inject services via properties or directly inside the controller method instead of using the constructor. However, in most cases, constructor injection is the best practice, so I won't go into detail on the other methods in this video. If this video was helpful but you want to implement all of this in a real project, I have a tutorial on how to build a personal finance web app which should be on the screen right now. So just click on it and I'll see you there.